Let me tell you something today that might just change your life. Your pain has a purpose. Yeah, I said it. That heartbreak, that setback, that betrayal, it ain't the end of your story. It might just be the beginning of your power. See, everybody wants the glory, but nobody wants the story. You want to shine, but you don't want the pressure. Diamonds are made under pressure, baby. You can't be strong if you've never been weak. You can't appreciate peace if you've never had chaos. Pain is life's gym. It's where your soul lifts weight. You cry, you scream, you stumble. But you're getting stronger. Don't run from it. Don't hide it. Use it. Let me break it down. Pain will introduce you to yourself. It will strip you of everything fake, everything shallow, everything that was never meant to last. And it will leave you with the real you, the hungry you, the fearless you, the grateful you. See, it ain't about what you go through. It's about what you do with it. Some folks let pain define them, but the powerful, they let it refine them. You lost that job? Good. It wasn't your destination, just your detour. They walked out on you? Let them go. Rejection is sometimes God's protection. You hit rock bottom? Good. Solid foundation. Time to rebuild. Stop asking, why me? And start asking, what now? Because when you shift that mindset, when you stop seeing pain as punishment and start seeing it as preparation, that's when the power kicks in. Now listen, this ain't easy. Transferring pain into power, it means doing the hard work, healing, forgiving, letting go of bitterness, choosing purpose over pity. It means standing up every time life knocks you flat on your back. But I promise you this, every tear you've cried, every sleepless night, every time you felt like giving up, it wasn't for nothing. You are not broken. You are being built. So don't waste your pain. Channel it. Fuel your dream with it. Let it push you harder, love deeper, lead stronger. Let it turn you into someone who walks into the fire and comes out with flames in their eyes. You got the power. You've always had it. Pain just showed you how to find it. Now go use it. Pain has a purpose. Those 5 words carry more truth than most people are ready to admit. In life, pain is not a random punishment. It's a sign that something deeper is being worked on within you. It's easy to look at painful moments and ask, Oscar, why is this happening to me? But the real power comes when you start to ask, what is this trying to teach me? Pain is the universe's way of forcing growth, of shaking you out of comfort, of sharpening you for what's next. Nothing meaningful ever grows without discomfort. You can't expect to evolve into the next version of yourself while clinging to the comfort of who you used to be. And pain, as harsh as it feels, is often the push that makes you move forward. Think about it. When everything's going well, we don't change much. We don't dig deep. We coast. But the moment pain enters the picture, a heartbreak, a loss, a failure, we're forced to pause, to reassess, to look inward. Pain slows us down enough to hear the lessons life is trying to teach. You start noticing what really matters. You begin to question what you've been tolerating. You realize who's really there for you and who only came around when things were easy. Pain clarifies. It peels away the layers of illusion and forces us to confront truth, often uncomfortable truth. There's something sacred about those moments when you've hit the bottom. When you're curled up in the dark, unsure of how to get back up, that's when your soul starts talking. That's when you realize what you're really made of. It's in those moments that resilience is born. You don't find your strength on the mountaintop. You discover it in the valley. The mountaintop is just where you get to look back and see how far you've come. But the grind, the crying yourself to sleep, the waking up with a heavy heart and still choosing to move, that's the furnace where your power is forged. Too many people try to skip pain. They numb it, avoid it, ignore it, pretend it doesn't hurt. But what you run from, you give power to. Pain that's not faced doesn't just go away. It buries itself inside you and shows up later in ways you didn't expect. But when you confront it, when you sit with it, when you allow yourself to feel it fully, that's when healing begins. That's when transformation starts. Sometimes pain is life's way of making you let go. Let go of toxic relationships. Let go of fake versions of success. Let go of limiting beliefs you've carried for years. Pain removes what's no longer serving you, even if you're too attached to let go willingly. That breakup, it stings, yes, but maybe it's freeing you to find someone who truly sees you. That job loss, it hurts your pride, but maybe it's creating space for the dream you've been too afraid to chase. Pain often clears the path you wouldn't have cleared on your own. And let's not ignore the fact that pain humbles you. It reminds you that you don't have all the answers. It brings you back to the basics: faith, family, health, love. It strips away the noise and returns you to what's real. In that rawness, you discover your humanity. You realize how strong you can be, how deep you can love, how fiercely you can rise. You see other people's pain more clearly, and you start carrying compassion in places where there used to be judgment. Pain is a master teacher. It doesn't whisper. It roars. It shows you what you need to work on, what you've been avoiding, and what you're truly capable of becoming. And when you begin to view it not as punishment, but as preparation, everything changes. The same moments that once broke you now become the foundation for your rise. Pressure builds strength. It's one of those truths that's easy to say but hard to live through. Nobody likes pressure. It makes you uncomfortable. It demands more from you than you think you have to give. But just like a muscle has to be stretched, torn, and stressed in order to grow, your character, your faith, and your resilience all get stronger when they're under pressure. Without pressure, you stay the same. You never tap into your deeper potential. You never discover what you're really capable of doing when everything is on the line. Pressure is the training ground for power. When life puts you in a tight spot, when you feel like the weight of the world is pressing down on you, that's not the time to run. That's the time to dig in. Because pressure reveals what's real. It shows you what's solid and what's fragile. When things are easy, it's easy to fake strength, to pretend like you've got it all together. But pressure exposes the cracks and forces you to fix them or break. And in that process, you learn, you grow, you become more. Look at anything strong in this world: a diamond, steel, a towering tree that stood for 100 years. They've all been through extreme pressure. Diamonds don't come from comfort. They come from the earth squeezing carbon until it transforms into something beautiful and unbreakable. Steel is forged in fire and beaten into shape. Trees develop deep roots not in calm weather, but during storms that threaten to rip them out of the ground. You want to be solid. You want to be unshakable? Then don't run from pressure. Understand it's part of your becoming. The pressure you feel in your life might come in many forms. It might be the pressure to provide for your family, the pressure to heal from something that nearly broke you, the pressure to rise above your circumstances. It can feel overwhelming. But here's the thing. Pressure is also the birthplace of creativity, drive, and innovation. It's where new ideas are born, where vision becomes clearer, where your will is tested and shaped into something strong enough to carry your dream. People often say they want success, but success comes with its own pressure. The higher you go, the more weight you carry. The more responsibility you take on, the more pressure you feel. But that's not a bad thing. That's growth. That's leadership. That's maturity. Pressure builds patience. It builds focus. It forces you to prioritize and think clearly under stress. It makes you resourceful, adaptable, and alert. You stop wasting time. You stop tolerating distractions. You get serious about your goals because pressure doesn't give you the luxury of procrastination. Pressure also separates the committed from the curious. When things get hard, people start dropping out. Not because they couldn't do it, but because they weren't willing to endure the pressure required to see it through. That's why pressure is also a filter. It weeds out what's weak and lets what's strong rise to the surface. If you can push through it, if you can breathe through it and stay grounded, you're going to come out on the other side with a strength that no one can take from you. Even emotionally, pressure brings clarity. You learn how to hold your peace when everything's chaotic. You learn how to control your thoughts, master your reactions, and stay grounded when the storm is raging around you. That inner strength, that comes from pressure. Not from theory, not from motivation videos, not from reading about other people's success. It comes from being in the fire yourself and refusing to fold. You won't always like it, and it won't always be fair. But pressure doesn't show up to destroy you. It shows up to reveal you. What you do under pressure is who you really are. And every time you choose to rise instead of collapse, you're becoming someone stronger than you were yesterday. Use the pain. Don't waste it. Pain is one of the most valuable resources life gives you, but only if you know how to use it. Most people try to avoid it, bury it, or pretend it never happened. They walk around with wounds they never let heal, carrying emotional baggage that weighs down their potential. But what they don't realize is that pain is not meant to sit still. It's meant to move. It's energy. And when you channel that energy in the right direction, pain becomes fuel for transformation. Pain carries powerful information. It tells you what matters to you, what's been lost, what you need to change, and what you need to heal. It can be a loud, relentless teacher, but ignoring it doesn't make the lesson disappear. It only delays your growth. When you choose to face your pain, to lean into it instead of running from it, you begin to unlock parts of yourself that were lying dormant. You realize how deep your strength goes, how passionate your purpose is, how badly you want to rise. Everyone experiences pain, but not everyone grows from it. The difference isn't in what happens to you, it's in what you do with it. Some people use their pain as an excuse. They get stuck in the past, repeating the same story of how life did them wrong. They cling to their suffering because it gives them an identity, a reason to stay small, a reason not to try again. But that's a trap. Because pain doesn't go away by being ignored, it just finds quieter, more destructive ways to express itself. On the other hand, there are people who take that same pain and build something powerful out of it. They use it as motivation. They take every disappointment, every betrayal, every failure, and use it to sharpen their focus. They learn how to turn tears into strategy. They let the pain shape their values, guide their choices, and strengthen their resolve. They understand that if they've survived something painful, they've also earned a deeper kind of wisdom, and that wisdom can't be bought or faked. It comes from experience, from scars that have stories behind them. Pain can become your drive. It can make you want to change the world. It can make you passionate about helping others who are struggling. Some of the most powerful leaders, artists, and visionaries didn't rise because they were lucky. They rose because they were broken and decided not to stay that way. They built something out of the rubble. They created meaning where there was once only suffering. They turned their pain into a platform, a purpose, a calling. There's a fire that only pain can light. It's the fire that wakes you up at 5 a.m. to chase your goals. It's the fire that won't let you settle for less than you deserve. It's the fire that reminds you that you didn't go through all that just to quit now. When you start to use your pain like that, you become unstoppable. You stop looking for comfort and start looking for growth. You stop asking for things to be easy and start asking for the strength to overcome. Pain can also build empathy. When you've been through something hard, you start to see other people differently. You recognize the signs. You listen more deeply. You don't judge so quickly. That makes you a better leader, a better friend, a better human being. You're no longer walking through life blind. You see with your heart. There is power hidden inside every painful moment you've ever faced, but the key is you have to decide to use it. You have to be intentional. You have to stop replaying the past like a victim and start rewriting it like a survivor who refuses to let pain have the last word. Shift your mindset. That's where everything begins. Your mind is the control center of your life, and how you think about your pain determines what you do with it. Most people get stuck in a loop of asking, "Oh, why me?" as if pain is some kind of curse meant to punish them. But when you ask, "Oh, why me?" you give away your power. You stay stuck in blame, bitterness, and confusion. That question looks backward. It focuses on the wound, not the healing. It keeps you in a place of helplessness, waiting for someone else to fix what's broken. But the moment you shift that question to what now, everything changes. You stop focusing on what happened and start focusing on what's possible. You stop moving forward. That shift doesn't happen by accident. It's a decision, a conscious choice to stop replaying the pain and start rewriting the story. You can't always control what happens to you, but you can absolutely control how you respond to it. That's where your power lives, in your response. Pain may knock on your door, but you decide whether it moves in or moves you. When you choose to respond with intention, even the worst situations can become turning points. What was meant to break you starts to build you. What looked like an ending becomes a new beginning. Your mindset shapes your identity. If you constantly see yourself as a victim of your circumstances, you'll never rise beyond them. But if you see yourself as a fighter, a learner, a builder, someone who grows through what they go through, then every painful moment becomes a stepping stone. That's not some empty motivational phrase. That's real life wisdom. People who survive the worst parts of life and still smile, still serve, still succeed. They all have one thing in common. They shifted their mindset. They refused to let pain define them. They decided to define themselves through how they rose after the pain. This mindset shift doesn't mean pretending things are okay when they're not. It's not about being fake positive or ignoring your emotions. It's about facing the pain honestly, feeling it deeply, but refusing to let it dictate your future. It's the difference between saying that this broke me and saying this shaped me. Same experience, different meaning. And the meaning you attach to your experiality. When your mindset shifts, so does your energy. You start showing up differently. You start attracting different kinds of people and opportunities because you're not coming from a place of desperation. You're coming from purpose. You walk with clarity. You speak with conviction. You stop begging for life to be easy and start preparing yourself to be stronger. That kind of shift impacts everything. Your relationships, your career, your confidence, your peace. One of the most powerful shifts you can make is moving from fear to faith. Pain often brings fear with it. Fear that it will happen again. Fear that you're not enough. Fear that things won't get better. But when your mindset is rooted in faith, you believe there's more ahead than behind. You believe the pain had a lesson, and the lesson has a blessing. You trust that your steps are being ordered even when the path isn't clear. That faith becomes your fuel. It silences doubt. It keeps you going. Logic says you should give up. The shift also includes changing how you talk to yourself. Instead of saying, I can't do this, you say, I'm learning how to do this. Instead of saying, this always happens to me, you say, this is teaching me something new. That language matters. Your words create your world, and a mindset shift starts with how you speak about your situation. When you take control of your inner dialogue, you begin to take control of your life. You stop reacting and start creating. You stop shrinking and start rising. You stop waiting and start building. Rejection is redirection. At first, it never feels that way. When someone tells you no, when a door closes, when you get turned down, walked away from, or passed over, it stings. Rejection hits something deep. It triggers insecurity, makes you question your worth, and leaves you wondering what you did wrong. But what if the rejection wasn't meant to hurt you, but to guide you? What if it was never about what you lost, but about where you were meant to go instead? It takes time to see it, but often the very things you cry over are the things that later protect you, shape you, or elevate you. What? Rejection has a way of removing what's not aligned with your purpose. You may not see it in the moment, because your vision is still clouded by expectation. You wanted that relationship to work. You thought that opportunity was the one. You pictured your life going one specific way, but sometimes your plan and your purpose aren't the same. And when they're not aligned, rejection steps in to make the correction. It feels like a breakdown, but it's actually a setup. You thought you were being denied, but really you were being redirected towards something bigger, something better, or something that would pull more out of you than you thought you had. Rejection tests your belief in your value. It dares you to still believe in yourself even when someone else doesn't see your worth. It challenges you to hold your head high when people overlook your potential. It dares you to trust that what walked away wasn't meant to stay. Because if it were for you, it wouldn't have missed you. And what's for you won't require begging, chasing, or constant convincing. Rejection is often protection in disguise, keeping you from settling for something that looks good but isn't good for you. There's also something liberating about rejection when you stop fearing it. When you stop letting every no break your spirit, you become dangerous in the best way. You become bold. You start applying anyway, dreaming anyway, creating anyway. Because you realize that someone else's a no doesn't define your destiny. It's just a signpost pointing you to another direction, another strategy, another route. You realize that rejection isn't the end of your story. It's just a plot twist. Rejection also builds resilience. Every time you're told no and you get back up, your skin gets thicker, your heart gets braver. You start to see rejection not as a personal attack, but as a redirection of energy. It teaches you how to let go without bitterness, how to move forward without needing closure, how to keep your vision clear even when the road keeps shifting. It strengthens your ability to trust timing, trust process, and most importantly, trust yourself. Sometimes rejection is what wakes you up. That job you didn't get, it pushed you to create your own business. That relationship that ended, it led you to find peace within yourself first. That closed door, it made you knock on doors you would have never considered if everything had gone according to your original plan. Rejection, while painful, has a way of pointing you toward the path that requires your full potential. It forces you to innovate, to try something new. to develop in ways you would have never explored if you'd always been told yes. Rejection can also refine your focus. When you experience it enough, you stop trying to be chosen by everyone. You stop diluting your vision to fit into spaces that weren't built for you. You stop chasing validation and start chasing purpose. That's the gift of redirection. It puts you in alignment. It narrows your energy to what truly matters. It reminds you that every time life says no, it might just be saying, and not this, but something better. Power is found in the climb, not in the comfort, not in the applause, not in the smooth seasons where everything goes according to plan. The real power is built when you're in the thick of the struggle, when life has knocked you flat, and you have to make the decision to rise. That decision over and over again, to get up, to keep going, to push through. That's where strength is formed. That's where confidence is born. Not in the ease, but in the endurance. The climb is what builds character. It's what separates those who wish from those who will. There is something sacred about the uphill battle. Every step takes more energy, every move feels heavier, but every inch forward means progress. When you're climbing, you can't afford to be passive. You're fully engaged. You're focused. You're aware of the ground beneath you and the vision ahead of you. The climb forces you to pay attention to your growth. It won't let you go numb or coast through life on autopilot. It demands your presence. And in that demand, it pulls something deeper out of you, determination, grit, and a kind of strength you didn't know you had. The climb humbles you. It shows you what you're really made of. There are no shortcuts, no easy passes. You can't fake your way through it. You've got to earn every step. That's why the people who've climbed the hardest hills walk with a quiet confidence. They don't need to shout. Their strength speaks for them. They know what they've endured. They know what it took to get where they are. And because they've climbed, they understand the value of patience, of persistence, of process. When you're at the bottom, the top can seem so far away, it almost feels impossible. But if you're willing to put one foot in front of the other, day after day, you start to rise. You start to build momentum. And the higher you climb, the more you begin to see. Your perspective changes. What used to overwhelm you starts to look small. What used to break you now becomes a memory of what you've conquered. That's the power of the climb. It doesn't just change your location, it changes your mindset. You start realizing that the view isn't just at the top, it's in how far you've come. The climb also teaches you discipline. When motivation fades, and it will, the climb keeps you honest. It forces you to show up even when you're tired, to believe even when you can't see the finish line, to push forward when quitting would be easy. Discipline is born in those moments when no one is watching, when no one is cheering, when it's just you and the mountain. And if you keep climbing, step by step, you begin to trust yourself. You prove to yourself that you are stronger than your excuses, bigger than your fears, and worthy of the dream you're chasing. Another truth about the climb is that it's often lonely. Not everyone will understand your journey. Not everyone will support your ascent. Some will doubt you, some will criticize you, some will even walk away. But that's part of the process, because sometimes the climb requires you to release what can't